Hi, family. Coming in the room, coming in the room. Whew. Yeah, so today I want to talk really quickly with you about triggers and about the actor Christian Keys and how if you haven't heard him share his story, I don't know where you've been. You must have been under a rock. But he shared recently um, about being SA'd. Now, obviously, I have to use certain letters because social media is just real funny about certain words. So he was just talking about how he was SA'd. He gave these accusations about being harassed on one hand, but then being SA'd by a particular person, very powerful Hollywood persons, the way he put it. Okay. And so he said that, and I can relate, I can totally relate. He said that with all of the Diddy and Cassie stuff that was going on, he was triggered. And guess what? I was triggered. Okay. And I'm getting calls every day about people who were triggered. And so just know that just because a person um, is healed, because I consider myself healed, delivered, and set free. The reason why I'm in the ministry that I am in and serve the women that I serve and some men, because I do have a couple of men that I have mentored, ministered to. But the reason why I do that is because I'm giving out what I felt like I needed when I was traumatized, when I was abused, um, and I didn't get it. So I give to them as I serve them what I felt like I didn't get back then. So I totally understand the cycle of abuse. I understand being SA'd. I understand being triggered, all of those things. And so Christian Keys was just saying how he was talking about these very powerful people, and apparently some, he didn't name names yet, but he's getting there. Okay, but he gave us enough hints. Um, so he basically was saying he was harassed by certain people, but he was actually SA'd by one particular person who actually put his hands on him. Now, if you know what SA actually means, because some people don't really understand, that means that somebody actually touched you inappropriately. So he's saying he was sleeping because apparently he was drunk, went to sleep. When he woke up, this person's hands was on his tools. That's the way he put it. Okay. And he basically had to fight the person off. A man on man action. Okay. And he's like, I'm not that way. Okay. So, but watch his videos while he shares the story. So the thing is, so I was watching him and how he was talking about how he was triggered by the whole Diddy and Cassie thing. But then I'm like, I was triggered too. And let me just tell you how I was triggered. I was AR'd when I was 15 years old. And I consider myself healed. I forgave the person. We talked about forgiveness recently. We've been talking about forgiveness. I feel that I am healed, delivered, and set free. But this is something you need to understand. Just because a person forgives a person, just because a person is healed, delivered, and set free, doesn't mean that we still don't get triggered. Okay. So I was triggered recently, and a lot of other people were triggered too, because I'm getting calls every day for one-on-one sessions because people are just triggered. Okay. So I wake up, I was telling my girls in Queendom Purpose Academy, I woke up one day last week and I kept seeing these numbers and I was just like, what is the deal with these numbers, right? And as the day progressed, I was just like, these numbers sound familiar to me. Then I was like, oh, that's why the numbers sound familiar to me, because the person that R'd me when I was 15 years old, that was his address. Okay. So by trigger, I was triggered, and then by the whole Cassie Diddy thing. But then also I started seeing these numbers that actually is the actual address of the person that R'd me when I was 15. So now I find myself Googling the person and searching for him on social media. And the one thing I remember is after he R'd me, I talked to his mom. His mom said that he was going into the military. So when I looked him up, apparently he had a pretty successful military career. He has a wife, he has children, grandchildren. Now, and this is the thing, I have no interest in reaching out to him, but I'm just telling you how I was triggered and how me being triggered led me to do research on this dude after all these years. And so some of you are saying, well, why would, I don't understand why people wait for so long to tell their stories. I don't know. But see, the thing is, if you never experienced it, you never experience it, and you will never understand it. Because people deal with trauma differently. And so when I was triggered, I was just like, I had to catch myself and I had to reach out to my person. Okay. Because even though I mentor, even though I minister to people, I have somebody that mentors me. Okay. So I had to reach out and like, girl, look what am I doing? I mean, I knew what I was doing, but so I'm just saying that we need to be very careful not to paint the person that was traumatized as being the villain when they decide to tell their story. Christian Keys is telling his story his way. Okay. And right as of right now, he has not actually said the names, even though we could kind of figure out the names. And one of the persons, I'm not going to say the name, but one of the persons recently had a documentary. Okay. Listen, I don't know if he was one of the persons that harassed him or if he was the actual person that put his hands on him. Like, I don't know. But he's planning on putting it all out there soon. So I think that's going to mean that there's going to be even more people triggered. Right. So the reason why I'm on this video right now is three things. One, stop painting the person that decides to tell their story as a villain. Stop judging them. Stop doing that. And two, simply because a person is healed, simply because a person does forgive, right, doesn't mean that they're still not triggered. Because I still have triggers. Okay, when I started seeing that address, I was just like, oh my goodness. When I found myself looking this person up, I'm like, oh my goodness, right? Fortunately for me, I have somebody to reach out to. And thirdly, it doesn't matter whether you believe the story or not. It's not your business. Mind your business. Because men are harassed too. That's the third point I want to make. Because of course we talk about women all the time. We talk about children all the time being harassed or abused, but men are abused too. Absolutely, all the time. Believe it or not. You don't have to believe it. And that's what Christian Keys is talking about. He describes him being SA. It happens all the time. And a lot of times when people hear that a man has been abused, the first thing they think is, well, he's weak. Because if that happened to me, I would have did this. You don't know what you would have done if you were in that situation. Who is it? Terry Crews, when he came out with his story some years ago, people were like, come on, how a grown man. Listen, if you've never been through it, you will never understand it. And I'm just going to put it out there like that. Leave people alone. Stop trying to paint them as the villain because they're telling their stories. They have a right to allow their voice to be heard. And let me just tell you, if you're out there and you were traumatized and somebody SA'd you or R'd you or whatever they did to you, listen, you have a right to be heard. You have a right to use your voice. You have a right to use your words. Don't allow anybody to tell you how you should tell your story or even if you should tell your story. And so what I'm doing right now, since so many people have reached out to me over the past couple of weeks, and now with Christian Key's situation, I'm sure even more people are going to be triggered. So I am inviting you, if you need a safe place and a safe space, I have created it for you to share your story. If you need to cry, you can cry. If you want to just talk, you can talk. I call it, we can talk about anything, one-on-one sessions. It's actually, we can talk about anything, one-on-one trauma and healing session, because it's not just about talking about it. It's about actually healing from it. And know that healing is actually a lifelong process. And so I'm putting that out there for anybody who feels like they have their voice has not been heard, their voice has not been valued. You need that safe space to be heard. I'm giving you the opportunity to do that. So send me a message. I have my Linktree information here. You can just reach out. Listen, I am not new to this thing. I am true to this thing. Okay, I've been counseling people for years. I've lived it myself, so I know all about trauma. I know all about abuse. I know all about it. I can relate. Okay. Yeah, I can. I'm not speculating. I'm not judging you. I'm not condemning you. I'm not painting you as the villain because you want to tell your story. No, I am here to support you. I'm here to cover you and pray for you and pray over you and give you that safe space to share. Okay. So reach out to me. Let's just start loving on people, okay, and showing some empathy and compassion and stop always being so judgy, okay? Because the truth is, if you haven't lived it, then you will not understand it. If you never experienced it, you will never understand it. So stop trying to rack your brain and, coming up with all of these different, you know, I don't know. I've heard so much nonsense. It just doesn't make sense. So listen, you be encouraged and not discouraged. You be blessed and not stressed. And I will see you on the inside. Those of you who are reaching out to me, I have right now, I have about 10, I think maybe 10 to 12 slots left. Okay. For the one-on-one, we could talk about anything, trauma and healing session. I'm telling you, if you need to talk, you better reach out. Just send me a message, contact me, and we can set something up. Okay. All right. God bless you. May heaven smile upon you. I'll see you next time. Stop being so judgmental. Stop being so judgmental. It's all about the one who has the power. When I heard Christian Keys say a very powerful person in Hollywood or persons in Hollywood, it's all about the one with the power. Whether that power is through money, whether that power is through more physical strength or influence, it's all about the one that has the power, right? And so if you don't understand it, it's okay because you never lived it. I pray that you never have to live it, so you don't have to understand it. But if you lived it, I just pray that you be free. Be free. Who the Son sets free is free indeed. Jesus came to set the captives free. Okay. And I want you whole because God wants you whole. Amen. So reach out to me and I'll talk to you soon. God bless. Have a blessed and marvelous day.